MLB, NL East. NL East consists of a couple top-tier teams. You got the Phillies, who just made the World Series this last year. Unfortunately lost. And then you got teams like the Atlanta Braves, who won 2 years ago, won the whole thing. Washington, who's in a full-blown rebuild. The Miami Marlins, who are in this weird limbo period between a rebuild and a full rebuild or trying to compete. No one really knows what the fuck they're doing. And then the last team, NL East, is the New York Mets, the team that has spent more money than any franchise has ever spent in the history of baseball, who's also a favorite in this division. So it's kind of a three-headed race. A lot of different things, but we can start with the Washington Nationals, who are clearly probably going to be bottom of the division. So, Kendall, you got anything to say about this team?
They're like the Athletics. They're fucking horrible, and there's not much to say. There's not much to say about them this year. They got prospects in the Juan Soto trade, so give them a few years. They may be solid, depending on if they hit on their next few draft picks, too. Patrick Corbin's on a horrible contract. That's really all I got to say. I got him going 57 and 105, finishing last.
Yeah. I think a couple bright spots for this team is Joey Meneses. He's a solid player. Probably the best hitter in this lineup. C.J. Abrams is one of their top prospects. He'll be up this year. Keibert Ruiz was the top Dodgers prospect when they traded Scherzer and fucking Seager. No. Who's the shortstop? Who is that?
Trey Turner.
Trey Turner. My bad. I forget that he was even on the Nationals. It felt like forever ago. Luis Garcia is not bad. And then their pitching is just trash. Josiah Gray is okay. Patrick Corbin's on one of the worst contracts in all of baseball, like you said. They got guys like Mackenzie Gore, hopefully. They got him from the Padres, did they not?
Yeah. He's solid.
On a trade. Yeah. So they have some bright spots, but they got a long way to go.
What do you say the record was going to be, Kendall?
I got him 57, 105.
59 and a half is the line.
I'm all around it, baby.
Yeah. Couple things. One, crazy that Carl Edwards Jr. went from NASCAR to baseball. That is awesome. You don't hear that often. A two-sport athlete. And then whatever happened to, what's his name? Steven Strasburg? What happened to him?
He's hurt. He's still on the Nationals. He's just not going to be ready.
Is he even good? Because I remember he was like a young phenom.
He's always dealt with injuries, and they signed him to a massive extension after the World Series they won. Was that 19? Soto and them? Or was it 18?
It was that
19.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After they signed with 19, he's barely pitched since. He's been hurt. He's having nerve issues in his hands. He's having some really shitty injuries, which sucks because he's a solid pitcher, Chase, when he's actually available. But he's kind of like, I don't even know how to compare it to. It's almost like the Greg Oden of fucking baseball, but he's played a little bit more.
Did he ever reach elite status at one point in his career?
Yes.
He
was one of the best pitchers in the league at one point.
I think he won Cy Young.
I think he won He won World Series MVP.
MVP. Yep.
Like a Tim Lincecum type career?
Yes, very similar.
Yeah.
But I will say Tim Lincecum was probably a little bit more dominant in his peak than Steven Strasburg was, if you look at the statistics behind it. But similar thing, too, like with Tim and him, is they got used a lot early, pitched the fuck out of the ball, and it's catching up with them bad. But I would say the Patrick Corbin contract's just as bad. And Steven's not even pitching. Patrick Corbin's contract, think about it, it was over $100 million, was it not, Kendall?
Yeah,
$150 million.
I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but he's like a top 5 paid pitcher in baseball.
And his ERA is 5.5.
Yes.
Hell yeah. That's good. That's good right there.
That's great right
there. Patrick Corbin signed a 6-year, $140 million contract in 2019.
Dude.
So he doesn't become a free agent until 2025. So just keep that
Living
in
the
mind.
dream, just sucking and getting paid a lot of money.
And then we'll just quickly, I'll pull up his stats from last season. Patrick Corbin last year in 2020, let's just pull up in 2022. He pitched in 31 games, 6-19 record, 6.31 ERA, and 152 innings, which is dog shit. And then in spring training, he is 0-2 with a 5.63 ERA. So he's not getting any better. But yeah, easily one of the worst contracts in baseball. But moving on to Miami, used to like Miami a lot more because Derek Jeter was one of their execs, and now he's not. So you got big notable things like Jazz Chisholm playing in center field this year. Says he's going to win a Gold Glove out there. We'll see. Gene Segura coming over from the Phillies, play third base. Luis Arias, they just picked up in a trade here in the offseason. It was a big deal for them. He was the AL batting champion last year, isn't that right, Kendall?
Yep.
Batted like 320 damn near.
Yep.
But their number one player is easily Sandy Alcantara, Alcantara, however you want to say it. NL Cy Young winner, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. But the success of his pitching kind of drops off a little bit and has a lot more question marks. Edward Cabrera, very young. He's been in the big leagues multiple different stints, and it's just not seemed to work out fully yet. Trevor Rogers, who's been really good and really bad. Jesus Luzardo, who's been really good and really bad. And then Johnny Cueto, who had a career resurgence in Chicago last year for the White Sox, and about mid-year, and then got a contract with Miami. So other than that, this team probably going to be the second worst team in this division.
Yeah,
really young pitching rotation too.
They are.
Yeah.
And they have Sixto Sanchez still in the minors, Yuri Perez, and I think one other guy. So they've got two or three more prospect pitchers, like high draft pick pitchers.
Kendall, so I got a question for you here.
So
you just said Sixto Sanchez.
Yeah.
When does the time come where the Trevor Rogers plug gets pulled and you move on to a young prospect like him?
I don't think they did it last year just because he had such a great year 2 years ago. So I think that I feel like they felt like they couldn't because he had a good year and they felt like he could bounce back at any point. So I agree with them leaving him in, letting him start this year. But if it turns out to where we're like in May, June, and he's pitching like he did last year rather than 2 years ago, I'd say at that point it's time to pull the plug, send him down, see if he can figure anything out. If he don't figure anything out, you may look into trading him for a bag of chips.
So, Chase, just to give you kind of an insight of what we're talking about with Mr. Trevor Rogers. So in 2020, his first year in the league, he had a ERA over 6, really struggled. He only pitched 28 innings, though, so he really didn't play that much. The following year in 2021, he came in and pitched 133 innings with a 2.64 ERA.
He's great.
Really, really solid year for him. He was 7-8, though. The Marlins sucked. They still do. They were just as bad, if not worse, at the time. He comes in last year off this big, gigantic, monumental season. He's turned the curve, 5.47 ERA in 107 innings. So he really had a really bad year last year. So he's kind of one of those pitchers people are looking at with a lot of question marks. And that's half that rotation. Jesus Luzardo's the same way. Edward Cabrera's the same way. Edward Cabrera can throw a cutter or a sinker like 98 miles an hour. But how is he going to fare as a starting MLB pitcher? So,
well, also, I guess looking at this, like I said, their pitching rotation seems very young. So, I mean, that's never a bad thing as long as you have a couple solid options, which they seem to not have based on what you guys told me.
They have one solid option in Sandy.
But still, I mean, they're young, so they can figure it out. Some people figure it out later than others. This team also has another two-sport athlete, Matt Barnes, famous Laker, making his way to the MLB to be a relief pitcher. Congrats to him. It's fun watching young teams. So maybe not this
I will
team.
say, Edward was a little bit better than I thought than last year, Kendall. He had a 3 ERA in 14 games.
Yeah, I didn't think he was that bad last year.
Not bad.
And then he has a 1.8 ERA so far through spring training. So
he's got a shit ton of potential.
Yeah, his sinker is insane. He's one of the best.
If you don't know, go back to MLB The Show 22 and just try to hit off of him. Or 21, sorry.
Yeah, I guess we can move on to the next team.
Real quick, I got him at 74 and 88, finishing fourth.
75.5.
Look at that. I could make these damn lines, dude. All right. Let's go to the defending NL champs.
Philly. So they're without Bryce for a while, aren't they?
Yes, till like the All-Star break at least. And then after he comes back, he'll have to DH strictly again. He can't play the field.
Which honestly is okay. They got a good outfield. This team is very solid. Bryson Stott's very, very young with a ton of potential. He came up like mid-year last year.
It was early.
Late year. Was it early? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he's solid. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, stars. Reese Hoskins can hit a shitload of home runs. Alec Bohm, hopefully he can play a little bit better defense than he did last year because he was a little bit of an issue there at third base. Nick Castellanos, you never know what you're going to get out of him. He could be pretty good coming into this year. He can hit a lot of home runs too. Brandon Marsh
strikes.
Brandon Marsh
into Mike Trout.
Yeah. Brandon Marsh is a legit center fielder. He's only 25. Brandon Marsh looks like he's like Charlie Blackmon. He looks like 30 years old. Now I know Charlie Blackmon's like 36, but he's looked 36 since he came to the league. So I didn't know Brandon Marsh was only 25. That big ass beard and the long hair kind of puts some years on you,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Josh Harrison, ultimate utility guy. Pitching staff, they added Taijuan Walker, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that their big offseason addition? So
they had a lot of came from the Mets. They had like 3 or 4 bullpen moves that I'll scroll down and get to.
Yeah. Jake Cave, fuck Jake Cave, dude. So the ones you're talking about, Gregory Soto. Wow. He came from
Craig Kimbrell.
Kimbrell. Fucking
Dodgers.
armbar.
And then I think Matt Stram. I think that was a new signing. He's solid.
Yeah. And then they also have their 2 returning solid bullpen arms, Sir Anthony Dominguez and Jose Alvarado.
Yeah. This is one of the best bullpens in baseball, if not the best.
Yeah. And it was funny, last year they made such a deep run with a bullpen that really consisted of 2 people.
Yeah. 2 starters, 2 relievers. They ended up in the World Series.
Now they have a lot more help.
I've got them going 94 and 68, which is a great record, but that would put them at 3rd in the division. So the top 3 teams in this division are all interchangeable. It's just kind of what you're thinking. I do think that they'll have a shot to go back to the World Series. I think any of the 3 teams do, really. They'll all 3 be fighting for those top 3 spots. I just think if they had Bryce Harper for the whole year, I'd maybe move him up to 2nd, possibly even 1st in the division, honestly. It's just him being out half the year just holds me back from putting him above the Braves or the Mets. But, yeah, one of the best rotations in baseball you'll see, one of the best bullpens in baseball you'll see, and one of the best lineups in baseball you'll see. So they're just all-around great team.
89.5.
Damn. That has – I figured it'd be like, for them, like 90, like 94, 95 probably.
I'll tell you what, I'm honestly surprised that the Phillies haven't went out and got like a Nelson Cruz or a Matt Carpenter or one of those DH bats between now and then. I don't know who Derek Hall is. but not dissing them or anything. But I feel like they could go get a better DH for a rental until Bryce comes back.
Or call a young guy up.
Yeah.
What you
All
think,
right.
Chase?
I know a lot of these guys actually, and that kind of shocked me. I know almost all the people in the starting rotation. I know a lot of the bullpen guys, and I know all the people in the lineup, which is crazy because that must mean they're good. Where I've used them in the show, so it seems like a good team. I didn't know where did Gregory Soto come from?
The Tigers. That's why you never heard of him.
No, I mean I've heard of him because
okay.
this show I have him in my bullpen, the All-Star card.
It's a great card.
Yeah, it is.
Solid pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a good team. I don't know why they're 89.5, but
That does feel low.
yeah, seems like it.
Braves from Mets.
Let's go Braves and Mets because they spent the most money. We'll talk about them last.
Okay.
Atlanta. What a team, man. I have nothing but this team could very well come out of the NL.
Yep.
You know, Austin Riley had a great year last year. Matt Olson is tearing it up in spring training right now. Ronnie Baseball hopefully will stay healthy the whole year. Michael Harris came out last year and had a great year. Ozzie Albies. Sean Murphy was a big pickup in the offseason. Vaughn Grisham, one of their number one prospects coming up to play shortstop, taking over for Dansby and moving to Chicago. Marcell Ozuna, hopefully he can stay out of jail for a full season.
Well, Zuna from the Braves.
And then A. Rosario and Travis d'Arnaud playing backup catcher. I think most teams in MLB would love to have Travis d'Arnaud as their backup catcher.
Hell yeah, I would.
And when your worst player, arguably, in your lineup is Eddie Rosario, that says a lot about how good your team is. Because
I think he's done all right in spring training so far too.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
you can,
and that's just on paper. And starting lineup wise, this freaking starting lineup, I mean, Freed, Kyle Wright, Uncle Charlie, Spencer Strider. I don't know who Jared Schuster is. Never really heard of him. I haven't heard Jake talk about him.
That fifth spot is like up for major competition between like 5 people.
Isn't Anderson one of them?
He
Brett
got
Anderson?
sent. He was. They already optioned him to
they sent him
AAA.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No.
they sent,
he's already
who else
lost
they
it.
sent down? They sent out somebody else too.
Is it Elder?
Yes,
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we shelled him.
I think his last name is Dodd. I think he pitched against us. He started against the Orioles the other day in spring training. They're saying he may have a really good shot at it. Jake wants him to win the 5th spot.
And then, I mean, even their bench, Orlando Arcia, Jordan Luplow, Sam Hilliard, just solid plug-and-play guys. Raciel Iglesias is great. AJ Benter, Anderson,
Nick
Kirby.
Anderson could come back and tear it up like he was with the Rays.
Yeah. Lucas Lakey used to pitch for the Yankees. Jake tells me that he's better than I say he is. It's because he pitched in a lot of low leverage situations. But anytime we put him in with runners on base, he'd implode. So I think as long as the Braves use him better than we did and use him in those low leverage situations and keep him out of the game when there's runners on base, he'll be fine. But he's just a pitcher. He's a pitcher that Yankees fans didn't like at all. Like, we're all happy he's gone. So maybe he'll have a better career in Atlanta. But this team, this is my favorite to win the division, even though the Mets are stacked. This team is just solid. They're going to play every day, and they're going to play hard. They're going to play good fundamental baseball. And I think this team's just – it has the perfect blend of speed, maturity, home run power. Just – I love this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that they always say, or our friends, they'll tell Jake, like I think Brandon, he's always like, y'all don't have a farm system, and I wish Brandon was on here because I'd just be like, you see these people, that is their farm system because look at their ages. They look at their ages: 26, 29, 25, 22, 26, 28, 22. Starting pitchers wise, 29, 27, 24, 24. Like, that is their farm system. They're already up in the major leagues tearing it up.
Yeah. I mean, Vaughn, Michael Harris, Acuna. I mean, Acuna's only 25, man. He's already been in the league 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, I really do hope, though, Acuna stays healthy for the entire year. That's a big catalyst for this team. He's like the life and soul of that team. You know, if he's hurt, it sucks the energy out of things. So,
Right. I've got the Braves winning the division at 102-60.
96.5. But still first place.
Yeah. Solid. That's a solid spot. 6 games off.
So they have projected the Phillies, Mets, and Atlanta within 5 games of each other.
They have
6.
Phillies at 89.5.
Okay, never mind.
And they'll have the Mets at 94.5 and Atlanta at 96.5.
6 games. That's insane.
8 games between third and first.
Oh, yeah.
7.
Yeah.
7.
7.
We can't math.
We'll meet in the
But
middle there.
you got a division where 3 teams are within single digit games of each other, and in any division, that's a great competition.
Yes, it is.
And last, but certainly not least, because they spent the most money in all of baseball, the New York Mets. This team is as good as it looks because they spent the money to get it there. Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil, which hope Pete Alonso and Josh McNeil play better than they have been in the WBC.
They suck right now. They are awful.
Starling Marte, Mark Canna, Tommy Pham. This is something interesting here. Okay, obviously they're starting Brandon Nimmo in center, but with Starling Marte and Mark Canna, their average infield or outfield age is 32, 33. It's old. Not a lot of speed. I mean, Nimmo's quick. But, I mean, Marte and Canna, I don't know how speedy they are at this point. Daniel Vogelback, dude, Danny Burgers. I'm hoping Danny Burgers hits about 40 bombs, dude. Danny Burgers.
Danny Burgers.
But then you got the starting rotation. I think that's the talk of this team. Scherzer, Verlander. Kodai Senga with that forkball pitch that apparently is insane. Carlos Carrasco at 36. And David Peterson.
Old-ass rotation.
Veteran staff.
Old-ass rotation. Old-ass bullpen. David Robertson at 37.
Old-ass team, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Jose Quintana could also be the 5th starter there instead of David Peterson, potentially. No, Quintana's hurt.
Quintana's hurt.
Brett Beatty, I could see Brett Beatty being in that starting lineup at some point this year. Francisco Alvarez, too. I actually think he is projected to be the starting catcher.
I think he will be the catcher for them, yeah.
Him and Narvaez. But I hope Brett Beatty gets up there earlier. They could use a young guy like that in the team. Tim LaCastro, still stolen base machine. I can see Tim LaCastro. So Tim LaCastro, Chase, is like a AAA outfielder in terms of every aspect except for running. Dude is one of the fastest players in the league. But with the new rules and the pitch clock and everything, I could see him being on the bench as a base runner, potentially. So I could see him stealing 30 bases. But bat 150.
Yeah.
He'd be purely a guy coming out of just a late innings, being a pinch runner.
Close your eyes and swing.
Real quick.
How much worse could it be?
Real quick. It is halftime. March Madness is currently going on, and Northern Kentucky, 16 seed, is only down 3 to Houston right now, number 1 seed.
If Houston fucking loses every single bracket, but 3 of mine are busted.
Yeah, that'd be an insane upset because a lot of people want to see Houston in the championship because it's in Houston.
It's in Houston.
Yeah,
dude, the ticket prices have skyrocketed because of Houston being the favorite.
Northern Kentucky's about to come here and fuck this shit up.
Hey, that's the old home of Chris Vogt.
Yeah, it is. The funny thing is, yeah, I said Arizona losing's not a big deal to me at all because I had Missouri beating them second round. I only put Houston in my Sweet 16, then I had them losing to Indiana, number 4 seed. I really did. So I don't have them going to the Elite Eight or nothing like that.
I have Alabama or Houston winning every single bracket except for my one Gonzaga bracket because I'm obligated to do that. And then I have a bracket where Baylor wins, because if it was any team where I didn't think there was a guaranteed favorite, I would pick the two mascots to decide the tiebreaker. And it's hard to kill a bear.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the Mets. Very, very much a veteran team. And you know what the deal is every year. There's a saying, the Mets are going to Met. So every year it's like, will the Mets hold the lead? Because they're going to get out to a lead in this division. And it's going to be up to them to hold it and not blow it away to the Braves again or the Phillies this year. So
it's going to be hard. I mean, they're going to start out hot, like you said, but it's just this age is going to catch up with them.
Right.
Scherzer's going to miss part of the season, guaranteed. Verlander, he's been healthy, I think, the last 2 years consistently, so it's coming. He's going to get hurt at some point.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of – Pete Alonso always misses some games. Like, this team down the stretch is what's going to be their biggest question. Can they keep guys in the field and produce?
And I feel like with this team, like, because they're so old or getting older, they're all in their 30s and Verlander's 40, like, you know what you're going to get from all these guys. Like, I'll still watch Mets games because they're going to be a good team. But the fact that I already know what I'm going to see, and they only have one player, in my opinion, that you don't know what you're going to see yet, is that's Kodai Senga. So I think he'll be really fun to watch and see how he does. But if you tune into a Mets game, you know what you're going to see from all these guys as soon as they step up in the box. So, but I have them finishing second at 100 wins and 62 losses.
Yeah, I think this team would be so much different if Carlos Correa was on it. And Jeff McNeil was out in the outfield instead of Tommy Pham. I think this team would look a lot better on paper. But
they're going to lose a lot of games because they lost their closer too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Edwin being out for the year is going to be tough. I'll probably honestly have David Robertson close the games. Probably him and Ottavino probably going back and forth.
Yeah, probably.
We're both old too.
But they are both very solid. I will say that. David Robertson had one of the best years of his career last year. And Adam Ottavino's always been nasty.
You got anything, Chase?
I mean, the Mets season's off to a hot start, losing their star closer right now. I know it's early March, mid-March. Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil look like complete shit. Pete Alonso can't get a hit. Jeff McNeil can't fill the ball. So we'll see what happens. Then the future outlook of this team, I know we're not talking about future outlook, but I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of old people on that team, older folk on that team. And if I'm a Mets fan, I'm happy. I'm ready for this year, but in the back of my mind, I'm looking towards the future. And I don't know much about their farm system, but there's a lot of guys that's going to have to be replaced in a short amount of time.
Their farm's like okay at best.
Wasn't Beatty their number one?
Him and Alvarez, yeah. But they're both projected to be on the roster this year.
Yeah, so tough to look at.
But that being said, I think that's the end of the episode, fellas. It's been a long one.
Yeah.
Been a good one.
It's been a good one, too. I've really enjoyed this episode. I feel like we got to talk about a lot of good stuff. And other than that, I just hope you guys enjoyed the video, too, if you made it to this point. Like, comment, and subscribe, and keep watching our videos. We're putting out content once, if not twice a week. And hopefully we'll keep getting more consistent, keep getting better at what we're talking about. We got a lot more to talk about. March Madness is still just now starting. NFL free agency is still a lot of question marks. Baseball's 14 days away from starting, so we'll have a lot more to talk about once the season actually starts. And WBC. Monday we'll be talking about who's going to win it all. So, for Monday our predictions might have been spot on, or we could be dead wrong at this point. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we appreciate you watching. So, catch us on the next one.
Go O's.
Go America.
Go America.
Go Yankees.